Hello everyone and welcome to my PGA Tour betting preview and picks video for this weekend's BMW Championship. It is the second round of the FedEx Cup playoffs. The top 70 golfers in the FedEx Cup Standings will be competing this week, with the top 30 after this week moving on to next week's Tour Championship. Now, this year's BMW Championship is being held at the North Course at Olympia Fields Country Club. It is a par 70 course, but it's being measured at 7,353 yards long, which is a very long course for par 70. The last PGA Tour event that was held here was all the way back in 2003. It was the US Open. Jim Furyk went on to win that event, but we are going to be going into this week's tournament a little bit blind with our handicapping because we don't have any recent events to kind of base our handicapping off of. So we are a little bit blind, but I think we're going to do all right anyways. Let's take a look at the top 5 odds to win the BMW Championship. The new world #1 golfer, Dustin Johnson, is the betting favorite at plus 800. Jon Rahm is coming in behind him at 10-1. Bryson DeChambeau, third on the odds list at plus 1200. And then Justin Thomas plus 1200 as well. And then Rory McIlroy coming in at 16-1. So those are the top 5 guys on the odds list. Let's get into my 5 key stats that I've identified to handicap for this week's event. We're going to start off looking at strokes gained off the tee. So looking at this golf course, it's a little bit hard to determine if distance will be more valuable than accuracy, as both will have their advantages in different ways this weekend. Let's just look at strokes gained off the tee to get a general feel for how each golfer is off the tee, whether it's with distance or accuracy, but preferably they're going to be good at both. And then we're going to look at greens and regulation. We're going to toss this in here to make sure we bet on guys who can get to the green with a chance to putt for birdie. And then we're going to look at proximity to the hole from 175 to 200 yards out. So with this course being as long as it is for a par 70 course, as I mentioned, a lot of the approach shots are going to be from this distance. There'll be very few holes with only a short iron or a wedge to the hole, so mid and long irons will get a lot of use this weekend. Let's look at how close golfers will be able to stick it to the hole from this specific distance. And we're going to look at par 4 scoring. We always want to look at the stat when we're handicapping a par 70 course, since 12 of the 18 holes are par 4s. And then finally, strokes gained putting. As I mentioned, the greens are going to be a little bit slippery at the North Course, so strokes gained putting is going to be a key stat for this tournament. We definitely want guys who are good with their flat stick in their hand. So those are my 5 key stats. Now let's look at my 3 picks for this weekend's BMW Championship. My first pick is going to be Bryson DeChambeau at 12-1. I mentioned the last PGA Tour event that was held here was in 2003, the US Open, but the US Amateur Championship was held here in 2015, and the winner of that event, our very own Bryson DeChambeau. So he's going to be my first pick. Let's look at his numbers in the key stats that I identified. Strokes gained off the tee, he's in first. Greens and regulation, he is 20th. Proximity from 175 to 200 yards out, he's tied for 21st. Par 4 scoring, he's second. And then strokes gained putting, he is 7th. So that's my first pick, Bryson DeChambeau. Let's lock that in. And now let's move on to my second pick to win the BMW Championship. I'm going to take Paul Casey, the Englishman, at 66-1. To be honest, I'm kind of surprised to see this price on Paul Casey, especially after his tied for second finish at the PGA Championship a couple of weeks ago. I love the value on him here, especially when we're looking at his numbers and how they line up with the key stats that I identified. So strokes gained off the tee, he is 15th. Greens in regulation, he's 11th. Proximity from 175 to 200 yards out, he's tied for 9th. Par 4 scoring, he's tied for 19th. And then strokes gained putting, he is 183rd, so his putting would be his one weakness. But given the price, I think there's a lot of value on him. And then my final pick for the BMW Championship, I got a dark horse, a long shot, someone you may not want to bet on to win the whole thing, but someone you can probably take to finish in the top 20, maybe a few round matchups throughout the weekend, and that is Taylor Gooch at 200-1. That's right, plus 20,000. Huge value on him, I think. Big reason why I like him. Great form recently. He's finished in the top 25 in 4 of his last 6 events, including a tied for 18th finish at last week's Northern Trust. Now let's look at his numbers and how they line up with the key stats. Strokes gained off the tee, he's 119th. Greens in regulation, he's 75th. Proximity from 175 to 200 yards out, he's tied for 58th. Par 4 scoring, tied for 67th. And then strokes gained putting, he's 38th. So he's a pretty good putter. So there you have it. Those are my picks. Those are my key stats for this weekend's BMW Championship. Best of luck to your bets and enjoy the event.